Now, the early stages of this case actually have some very striking similarities to the Boston Marathon bombing investigation.
That's right. NBC 10's law enforcement reporter Robert Goulston is on it. He's live in Boston to draw some comparisons for us between both of these manhunts. Robert?
Exactly, Matt and Amelia. Yeah, both manhunts ended with arrests because of a great deal of surveillance video, and both of the investigations started right at the crime scene.
The chaotic Boston Marathon bombing scene quickly turned into a massive manhunt, just like the murder of Charlie Kirk in Utah.
And I think the investigators out in Utah did the same thing that we did in Boston.
Former FBI Boston special agent in charge Rick Delore says both cases involve labor-intensive scanning of surveillance video.
These video images were high quality. They were high quality in the Boston Marathon bombing investigation, too. And that's critical to allowing members of the American public, good-hearted members of the American public, to come forward and provide the critical evidence to law enforcement.
Here in Boston, Delore says they did exactly what Utah did. They went back to the scene of the crime. This is the site of one of the explosions, and they worked westbound down Boylston, and that's where they found additional video.
Which allowed us to identify the second bomber in the case, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, in addition to Dzhokhar Tsarnaev.
Delore says by retracing the steps of Tsarnaev here on the right and the Utah suspect on the left, the investigators in both cases were then able to turn to the public with additional images.
And they worked backwards. They retraced the steps of the shooter from the acquisition of the first video, going backwards to try to track his movements. We did the same thing in Boston.
And just like the Boston Marathon bombing case, the investigation continues even after an arrest.
Doing dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of additional interviews. They want to find out whether anybody else was involved in the planning or execution of this. They want to take a look at how the weapon was acquired. That is crucial.
And it turns out that the Utah investigation received just as much video and photos as they did here at the Boston Marathon bombing investigation. We are live tonight in Boston. Robert Goulston, NBC 10 Boston.